Nam Ngiyakhona, the podcast inspiring entrepreneurials in South Africa. Because if it's going to be, it's up to me.
That education was key. Being in school and getting those fundamental basics, convinced them somehow that, I can do this.
Nazo bafethu, welcome back again. Ukuthi nam ngiyakhona, to know that if something is going to be, if your dreams are going to come true, it's only up to me. And today we are going to be blown away. Minds will be expanded about the importance of everything that you are doing at school, but even more so your dreams. And how far you can dream. I am very excited to have the guest that we have as always. Here as your host, I want to welcome you again and welcome as well our guest, Zandile Nxumalo. Thank you for joining us, Zandile. Absolutely excited to chat to you, being a researcher at the Council of Science and Industrial Research, where you are focusing primarily now on stem cell biology as well as regenerative medicine. So I think there are already some education for us in what that means. So share with us, your decisions in taking a career path. What did lead you from the work what you are studying in high school to studying in biology, but more so really curious on what made you even venture abroad, from a high school in Durban to doing your undergraduate in the UK. What inspired you and drove you to study what you studied and do it abroad as well?
Both my parents, they instilled the notion to me that from a very young age, to me and my siblings, that is, that education was key. It was always like in my household, it was always like education this, education that. And I think it's like that in most African families because we were previously disadvantaged. And of course, from a very young age, those things, they didn't really make sense to me because I was shielded. Like my dad had a job, my mom was a teacher, from the harsh realities of life. But it wasn't until I got older, that's when I realized that actually what they were instilling in me, what they were driving in me, was going to be instrumental in my life today. This is the reason why I think my parents were also stressing about certain things that I may have found not so cool. I used to say they're abusive. I'm sure there are a number of kids that think like that, like go to school and you're like, do I really have to? I don't have to. So I was one of those kids. But when you get older, you realize that actually, no, it was to benefit you. It was for your future. So looking back, I am now grateful and I'm feeling blessed more than ever that I have parents that were a driving force behind me getting education or getting educated and becoming the person that I am today. And if I could go back to school, I'll definitely go back so I can iron up those grades because knowing what I know now, if I had role models to tell me those things that being in school and getting those fundamental basics from the teachers and listening were applicable in real life later, then I would have focused more. But obviously, based on the education system that we had back in the day, we didn't have that. And so I had to learn that when I got older and when I started exploring and went outside of South Africa. And
maybe
also,
let's dive in that. Forgive me for jumping in, because are you saying, Guti, when I don't want to go to school, I'm funny at school and
then shower.
Berkshire, but you ended up, making a very big decision, I think, for a 17, 18-year-old to study abroad, one that would require you to believe a lot in yourself and, of course, for your family to believe in you as well. Where did that decision come from, and where did the self-belief, go from now you actually want to invest in your future, even going abroad?
So basically, going abroad was instilled in me when I was in high school. So I used to learn a lot about, because I went to Indian schools. So the schools that we went to, I did first language. What is it? Is it higher? First, I forgot now. It's been so long. I did English as my first language, and
Additional.
so
Oh,
it was like super tough. And so when we do literature, we used to do English literature. And so that is what inspired me to actually want to understand about what is so special about these English people. And I love literature so much that I found myself like so absorbed when I was reading like your Shakespeare, or when I'm reading a novel, when I'm doing poetry in school. Like I used to do well in that particular activity as opposed to anything else in school because I was so into it. And when I finished my matric, I knew that I had to travel and be in those places that I had read about in those particular novels because they were real. But
yes.
also like for my parents to allow me to take such a leap and go abroad on my own, it was the fact that they had faith and they had belief, and I had convinced them somehow that I can do this. This is what I want to do, and if I get education abroad, when I come back to South Africa, I can contribute more and I can learn more. And also because I knew that I wanted to do biological sciences, I knew some of the greatest scientists, some of the greatest inventions were discovered in Oxford, Cambridge, and so I wanted to be closer. I wanted to be one of my dreams as a child, and I'm putting it out there into the universe, is that I'll be the first Black female from Africa to win a Nobel Prize. It's like one of my craziest dreams in biology. So I'm putting it out there.
Were there role models for you that you could look at, to motivate you? Of course, your parents being a big role model, but what about success as well? How did that play a role for you when to give you confidence? What is it that built your confidence when you don't believe in yourself, or at least that makes you believe in yourself when things look difficult? What are those things for you that help you to build your self-view, your self-confidence and abilities in yourself to achieve these sacrifices and feats of challenges?
So basically, me personally, the way I viewed the people that inspired me, there wasn't really a lot of people. Maybe there were, but we didn't have the internet to look them up back in the day because I matriculated in 2004. But personally, like the way I view success, it was the ability of being able to impact people. How was I going to impact people? The journey that I was embarking on, how was I going to impact my people? How was I going to upskill the next person that comes after me, and not necessarily be Zandile Nxumalo from Mlazi, the only one that ever did it. I wanted to share that success. And so that's how I view it. I viewed it as a shared success as opposed to my success. Like, how can I impact my community to get to the level where I am? And so if I'm unable to do that, then that means there's something that I haven't done right. And it might be different for others, how they view their own successes. But it was also, now that I'm older as well and mentoring young people, I do take that initiative to mentor like young people outside work. And if it's inside work, I do take on like interns and I mentor them and make sure that they get to piggyback from my brain and understand like what is it that you need to succeed in life, what is it that you need if you want to venture into like biology, what studies you need to focus on, and the mark that you need to get, and the jobs that you can have after. And so they have me as like an example as to how their future might potentially be. And so, yeah, I just, yeah, it's just like giving back and just making sure that, you know, the next generation is upskilled the same way that you were upskilled with the latest technologies and speed.
I love that aspect of how, you know, your drive, your belief in yourself, and overcoming challenges is driven in a way by impacting society and serving others. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you were talking to now a 16-year-old Zandile, you know, 16-year-old Zandile, 17-year-old Zandile, if you imagine Zandile, and she's here, and she says she wants to do biology, or she says she wants to do engineering or technology or science. And we know that these are spaces that still have to be transformed in a big way, especially from a gender perspective. So here's Zandile. She sees, you know, that she can be the next Isaac Newton, or, you know, I know there's many other, you know, female inventors and scientists as well that aren't coming to mind. But what would you say to her on believing in herself, and how, and advice on how she must handle you know, that herself and her belief in succeeding in that space that you know, she's pioneering like you are pioneering?
I would say, if I was talking to my 17-year-old self, I would say, do not lose track of your goals. So I would say, if you have the opportunity to go into industry, especially like most organizations, they have like open days and stuff. Ask your parent like to take you or to register you for those open days, like say, and identify the people that you can learn from. Identify another Zandile that looks like you. I'll share like just to digress a bit. Like usually, like when I'm in social places, I don't talk much about what I do. So people be like, so what do you do? I'm like, I just wait. And then they'll be like, so you must be HR. I'm like, no. Then I have the need to correct you. No, I am not HR. I am a scientist. And then then you see their eyes lighting up. They're like, huh? Why? When? And I'm like, is there like a manual? Is there like a profile of like the scientists, how they should look like? Just because I don't have an arc back or like wearing big, I can wear glasses, but they're not big. But yeah. Yeah, like identify people that look like you. I didn't have that, and I wish I could have that. It's all about the mindset and the people that you associate yourself with, and the role models that you decide you want to look up to, and what you want to gain from those people.
Powerful. Thank you so much, Zandile. Thank you for sharing with us your journey. Thank you for sharing with us your thoughts and the wisdom, and how you view the work that you're doing, and even how you'd advise us if we are 16, 17 to fulfill our dreams. Really a pleasure to have chatted to you today, and we wish you all the best, and can't wait, of course, to celebrate your Nobel Prize in the near future.
Hopefully. Well, thank you so much for having me.
That was powerful. And want to remind you guys, if you're inspired, if you want to ask Zandile a question, maybe you want to share something with how you were inspired, drop it in the comments below. We'll try and make sure she does get to it, or at least that you get a response. Always love hearing from you. Always want to know how you are inspired, and if you have goals and dreams that you are going after, no matter what. Tell us, let us know. Stay inspired and be entrepreneurial. Follow us on social media and find us on WhatsApp. Nam ngiyakhona.